What's going on, guys? DaVinci HD here, back with another video. So before we get started, I just wanted to say thanks to everybody that showed support to the first vlog that I put out. I was very nervous putting that content out. You guys definitely gave me the confidence to put out some more stuff for you guys. So that's what we're gonna do here today. Now, honestly, I'm a little late with this video. I've been extremely busy with a lot of different things. I got my hands in a lot of different stuff. The studio's been open, cranking out a lot of content. A lot of artists been coming through. I also got a script that I'm working on that we're gonna try to start filming this summer. I'm also working on something else that I can't really give you guys the details on yet, but once I get everything figured out, I'm gonna be rolling out some content on that as well. So that's just a quick update of what I've been up to. If you guys are tired of waiting, let's get right to it. Okay, so in today's video, I want to talk about the biggest cheat code for music videos in 2022. Okay, so a quick disclaimer before we get started. This tip and walkthrough is going to be specifically for Final Cut users only. If you use Adobe or DaVinci, I can't say for certain if they have this function within their program, but definitely get on YouTube and type in, do some research, and they may definitely have that function. But if you want to know what we got going on here in Final Cut, definitely stick around. Okay, so the biggest cheat code for music videos in 2022 is going to be none other than Multicam Editor within Final Cut Pro. Okay, so for those who don't know what Multicam Editor is a function within Final Cut Pro 10 that allows you to take multiple performance angles of, say, a concert or a music video where the song is being performed all the way through, and be able to cut those angles on the fly using hotkeys and various other functions. So what we'll be going over today is a basic walkthrough of Multicam Editor, some tips on how to use 60 frames per second footage for speed ramps. We'll also go over how file management makes this function very, very easy to use, as well as a bonus tip that I'll save for the end of the video. All right, so if you guys are ready, we'll jump on our computers and let's get started with this walkthrough. All right, guys, we're here in Final Cut Pro. I did run into some audio issues here, so if you do hear some bad audio, I do apologize for that. Just do your best to follow with me here. So right now I have some footage from a video that I shot a while back. It's for James Nutz, a good artist that I work with. The song is called Too Much Cut. I will have a link for that video in the description, but we're just going to use this footage as a kind of example to go over the functions of Multicam Editor and what you can do. So what I've already done is I've already imported my media in here, and I'm going to show you the importance of file management and what makes this easy. So right here, I have all the footage that we shot that day, which is a pretty good amount of footage. But if you follow along here in my folder, I have all the footage here that we got that day. But then I also have the performance scenes as well as the song set in a separate folder called Performance. Now, I usually just abbreviated it, but once you import the entire folder of your footage into Final Cut, what it does is they have smart selections here, and when you look, it has the entire footage that we shot, but then it also has just the performance scenes, which makes it easier to set up your multicam clip. So what we're going to do is we have all our performance scenes here, as well as the song in a separate folder. Now, a little trick that I did is that I actually shot this entire video in 60 frames per second. Now, for most people, that's viewed as an amateur move. Now, but I'm going to show you why I did this differently. I shot this entire video in 60 frames per second, and I'm going to show you why here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to set up a new project. So, File, New Project within our library. We're just going to call it James Nutz Too Much Cut. And it's important that we set our timeline to 24 frames per second or 23.98. It really doesn't matter which of these two you use. I typically just stay at 23.98. That's just an old school thing for me, but click OK. But that's the important thing, is making sure your timeline is set to 24 frames per second, regardless of what your footage is shot in. That is an important, if you haven't wrote that down, write that down. So once we have our project set up here, you can see our timeline right here. But what we're going to do is we're going to go back to this Performance Smart selection, which has our performance scenes and just the song here. Now, performance scenes, for those who don't know, is the scenes where the artist is performing the song all the way through from beginning to end. This is important for Multicam Editor's function to work properly. So what we're going to do is we're going to highlight all of this. We're going to right click it. You're going to see a folder called, or you're going to see a button called New Multicam Clip. You're going to click that. Now remember, I shot all of this in 60 frames per second, so we're going to want to keep the frame rate that we used here, which is, 59.94 or 60 frames per second. Like I said, that those little things don't really matter, but that's okay. We can just name this Untitled Multicam Clip or Performance. I typically like to write Performance. And I'm trying to go as slow as possible so you guys can follow along with what I'm doing here. So it's going to take a minute to synchronize. All right, so once it's done synchronizing, you're going to see another clip here along with the clips that you already have imported. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to double click this, and what it shows is it shows all of your performance scenes stacked up with the song here. Now, normally you would see something like this in your regular timeline, but you're going to see how cool Multicam Editor here is in a second. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through all these and make sure these are lined up with the song. So make sure the song is being played here, and we're just going to look.
The motor on my wrist, after pop my shit be running. Remember I was selling pieces, now I'm out here dishing features. Started hot, I'm overheating. Diamonds hit the mix. Never need them. Sold them sugar, so we even. Pressure high, keep it even. Got my mind racing.
Okay, so that one's good.
Complete the mission, little niggas sissy, they bitches. I see it, fingers get 50. Switch on the Glock, get the glitching. He running, bet a couple hit him.
That one's good.
With you niggas soft like tissue. Toe tag him, yeah, I bless hoes. My Glock smoking like Custo. With them bonnets, put the motor on my wrist. After pop my shit be running. Remember I was selling pieces, now I'm out here dishing features.
All right, so all of these are lined up here. So the cool thing about Multicam Editor is you can switch these angles. If you want this one on the bottom, you want this one here, you can use these three lines here. You can also click each video individually, and then you can go in here into your side window here, and you can color grade each individual video or each individual clip within the Multicam clip. But this is a little bit more advanced stuff. That's not what I want to show you today. What I really want to show you is the functionality of it. So as you can see, all of these are lined up. So once you got all of these lined up the way you want to do it, you're going to go back to your regular timeline here, and you're going to take this Multicam clip and you're going to drag the entire Multicam clip into your timeline here. So then you're going to see a little button right here that says View. You're going to click View, and then you're going to go over here to Angles. Now, once you click Angles, we're just going to take that out for a second. So once you click Angles, you're going to see all your clips here. So you got clip 1, clip 2, clip 3, clip 4, clip 5, and then your song. So the key is what we want to do is we want the song to play while we go through our clips. So what we're going to do is you have this function here, which enables video and audio switching. You have this function here, which enables video only switching. And then this one here, which enables audio only switching. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on enable audio and video switching. And then we're going to click the song just to make sure it's the song that's playing and nothing else. And then what we're going to hit next is we're going to hit enable video only switching. So once we hit enable video only switching, that means the only thing that's going to switch is your visual, not your audio, but just your visual. So then you'll see down here, you'll see in the waveform where our song starts. So that's where we want to make our cut. That's where we want to make a cut here. So hit B for your blade tool and just go ahead, zoom in, make a cut. Since we know that's where the song starts, you can hit A for your select tool. Click that excess part we don't need. All right, so now we're on an angle here and the song starts. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take this out here because we don't need this anymore, and I'm going to show you why. So we're going to go back to view. We're going to high angles, and then I'm going to show you why we don't need this anymore. So what you have here now is when you play it, you can hit your keys. So 1 is angle 1, 2, angle 2, 3, angle 3, 4, angle 4, 5, angle 5, and so on and so forth. So what I essentially did was I've got one clip, and it's allowing me to switch scenes in real time using my number keys based off the amount of scenes I have, of course, with the last scene being a song, but we're never going to hit that key. So here's the neat thing about Multicam Editor. So let's say I made a cut right here, right? So let's say I don't like this cut in particular. So we can go here, we can take our cursor, and then once we hover over this, right, we can click, hold, and drag to each keyframe or to each second where we want this to split, right? So, well, that's cool, right? So let's say we want to spice up this cut a little bit. So we can switch over here to our transitions. I've got a crap ton of transitions in here. You can go to Motions Array. You can go to Motion VFX, Pixel Film Studios. There's a lot of third-party plugins out there for transitions, effects, and stuff like that. So we'll just throw a basic flash in here. Press so I can lock it. Niggas plugged up. See that? So here's another thing. Let's keep cutting here. All right, let's do angle 4, number 4. Go back to number 1. All right, so let's show you how cool this is. So this goes back to what I was talking about before. Remember, I shot all of this in 60 frames per second, and then I dropped it in a 24 frames per second timeline. So what makes this cool is I still got my cinematic look, right? So, but what this also allows me to do is I can play with my performance scenes, and by me shooting everything in 60 frames per second, that gives my entire shoot as a B-roll playground. And this is especially good for when artists come and they hit you up for running guns. Like, running guns are basically shoots that aren't necessarily planned a lot of the times, and you kind of have to think on the fly. So shooting everything in 60 frames per second when you run into those type of shoots is really cool. And then when you combine that with the Multicam Editor trick, you can kind of take this, hold your option button, right? Click, hold, drag, so it brings another one up. And the reason you do this is because you don't want the song to mess up at this point. So let's say you got this clip. Let's say right here I want this to slow down, right? So what normal people would do, so they would find the spot they want the place to slow down. They make a cut, and then they would just take that clip and slow it down 50 to 40%. But we want to do this a little bit cooler, right? We want the slow motion to happen a little bit smoother, if that makes any sense. So we're going to find the spot we want it to happen, right? And then we're going to hit shift. We're going to hold shift and hit B. And what that does is that does what's called a speed ramp. It brings up the speed ramp function. So what we can do is we can take this second part of this clip and slow this down to 50 or 40%. I usually do 40 or around 45. That's the sweet spot. Don't go any below 40 for 60 frames per second footage. It's another quick tip. So what you can do, this little gray area right here, you can kind of click and drag, and that shows you how quick it goes into the speed ramp. Let's hit this here. See how much smoother that was? And then here's another thing too. Let's say you got both of these clips here and you want to spice this up a little bit. So what you could also do is, of course, you can speed ramp right here, hit Shift B right here again, and then you can take the end of this, speed it up so that it gives it a good transition out. So what you got here, right? So then let's spice it up a little bit. So you got this clip here. Let's go into our functions on the side here. So hit the inspector tool. And let's just change the blend mode on this. Let's just change it to screen, right? Let's see how this looks. So we changed the blend mode to screen. Now watch this. See how cool that was? You can do a lot of stuff here. So let's say we mix this a little bit. Let's just go a little bit further here. Let's say we've got both of these clips. We've changed the blend mode, right? So we got this action going on. Let's take it a step further. We can start applying keyframes here. So let's go back to our inspector tool. We're going to hit this little box right here next to the transform function, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to bring these lines and dots here around your shot. What you're going to do is you're going to click this. It's going to add a keyframe to the entire transform tool. Then what you'll do is you'll take your playhead to the end of the shot, go back one frame, then you're just going to zoom in, right? So once you zoom in like that, we hit this to go back to our previous keyframe that we put in. See how cool that was? And you can do a lot of stuff with that. You can mix multiples, blend the layers, keyframe them out. There's just the possibilities are endless. You know what I mean? And just to show you how good keyframes are with the Multicam editor, each cut that you make, if you do a keyframe, like let's say we take this scene right here, and let's say we want to do a keyframe. So let's do a keyframe here. We'll go to the playhead, go back one. We'll zoom in here. We can drag up a little bit. As long as we got this activated, we can drag up. All right, so let's go back to our previous keyframe. Hit play. See how cool that was? So you can do a lot of stuff here. And then mixing that with the transitions that you can throw in here. And then you could do, let's say we got some overlays over here. So let's just go over here to our overlays. I got some overlays from YC Imaging here. So we got like a, displacement pack right here. We could just throw one of these on there. Kind of zoom in. And then we could change the blend mode. You could change it to screen, add. For this type of stuff, I like to change it to like exclusion or difference, which is pretty cool here. We'll go back to proxy here because it's giving us a little bit of a hard time. But that's just the basics of what you can do here. And see, you can kind of make these cuts all the way until the song's over. That's the beauty of Multicam Editor that I really want you guys to understand, is that you can change your scenes in real time. Scene 3, scene 1, scene 2, scene 4, scene 6 wasn't ready yet. But you get what I'm saying? You can change these in real time. You can drag if you don't like exactly where the cut's at. If you want to go back and say you don't like this cut, you can change the entire cut and it doesn't change the other cuts you made. And then you can do keyframes specifically within each cut. You know, you can duplicate each cut. Make sure you turn the sound off when you do this. And then you could do stuff with the keyframes, blend modes. It's just the possibilities are endless. And the fact that you shot this entire video in 60 frames per second, that just gives your entire video a B-roll playground. Now, I wouldn't do this for every single video, but for running guns, I recommend shooting the entire video in 60 frames per second so that when you get into this function right here, you can kind of use your entire video as a B-roll playground. So using your performance scenes for B-roll and then some of your B-roll, you know, you can kind of mix that in there with your slow motion. It's just the possibilities are endless. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. That is a basic walkthrough of Multicam Editor. So one thing to remember is file management is key. When it comes to your file management, the folder that you have all your clips in, make sure you have a performance scene folder with just your performance scenes of your song so that when you drop all of your clips into your program here, you'll have your performance scenes with the song, and then you can click hold, highlight everything, new multicam clip. Once it gives you your multicam clip, you can double click it, make sure it's lined up in here. Once you feel like it's lined up in here, you can go back, drag this into your timeline, hit play, and then you're cutting in real time. Super easy, super effective. It's cut my editing time down by literally hours, literally freaking hours. And there you have it, guys. I really hope this video was helpful for you. If you made it this far, go ahead and drop a like on the video and be sure to subscribe to get more content like this. If you guys got any music videos that you all have edited and you want me to take a look at it, drop them in the comments, man. Let me see what you guys have been working on. But that's all for now. This is DaVinci HD. I'm signing off. See you guys on the next one.